Welcome back to my studio. This is Colleen with Designs of Value Art, and today we're going to talk about a center of interest for your designs. Whether you're using a reference material, a photograph that you've taken or you've gotten off of Pixabay or wherever you would get your references, or whether you have a live item sitting in front of you that you're painting, you need to choose a center of interest. And the reason that's important is because you don't want everything in your design to have the same value, the same texture, the same detail. All of those things need to be in the center of interest. The most of those things need to be in the center of interest. And then as they go out, you want them to get less value, less detail, less texture, because you don't want the things that are in the background or away from the center of interest to have that much detail. You're pulling the interest away from the center of interest, and you don't want to do that because it jumbles up your design. And when you look at it, or when you're people that are coming to look at your art, look at your design, they don't know quite where to start. So if you have a center of interest and it comes out and gets less things as it goes away from the center of interest, that's when you're going to have a very pleasing design. So I've got some examples here for you, and just going to put them. This is just a plastic sleeve that you can get at any Walmart, any office supply store will have these. And I just put lines on it. And I measured it out, but I doubt that it's accurate, but that's okay. So a third, and a third, and then the same thing down the other side. So, and then you've got your crosshairs on there. So now, let's put our design under here. So where is our center of interest? First of all, it's not going to be in the center. I know that doesn't make any sense, but you don't want your most important item in your design to be right in the center, because there again, your viewer's eye doesn't know quite where to go. So you want to pick one of these corners, one of these four corners. And the other thing that you need to know about a center of interest, it's not one item. It's always going to be a combination of items. So for example, on this piece, and I'm going to remove the plastic so you can see it a little bit better. This is a copy of a pencil design that I did. I should do this in watercolors. This would be real pretty in watercolors too. But anyway, so this is going to be our center of interest. And the reason being is you've got more detail, more things going on right here than anywhere else on the design. And so from here, you want the most detail, the most values, all of those brightness, lightness, all of those things are going to be right in this area. So from this area then, a lot of people will do this as well. They'll create a circle. This is my center of interest. And then another circle around it is less value, less detail, less texture, whatever. And then on and on. And so what that does is it creates a center of interest for you. So you could certainly do that as well if you wanted to. It's almost like a target. So you got your circle here of your center of interest, and then it goes out from there. But that's a good idea because it does remind you that this is where you want the most detail, is in that center of interest. The most detail, the most line work, all of that. Now, let's take another example. This is a painting that I did. I have it on Patreon. For you to follow along if you want to do that, you certainly can paint this. Move it down just a little bit so you can see the entire design. Take your little graph here and put it over the top. So where's my center of interest? Is this it? Absolutely not. Again, it's going to be in the same area. It's right here. You've got this petal coming forward. you've got this dark leaf, and I'm going to remove this so you can see it better. So you've got this petal coming forward, this dark leaf, you've got this lighter value petal right here. So this entire area, not just one item, but that entire area is my center of interest. Now here's another, that was a watercolor that I did. The first one was a pencil. Here's another pencil that I did. And it's similar, it's going to fall in the same area. Center of interest. Well, guess what? It's right here. Okay, so we'll take this off so you can see it a little bit better. So I've chosen this area. So I have the most light value, the most detail, the most texture. I have dark leaves behind it. So you've got a lot of different things going on right in this area. So that's my center of interest on this one. Now this next example is a photograph. It'll probably be a design that it's a reference photograph that I'll do in the future. And I haven't really taken a look at this, so this will be interesting. Where do I want to put my center of interest? I'm going to line that up as best I can. So I have an option here because I've got purple petals, I've got yellow petal, I've got green leaf. So that would be an option. Same thing here. I've got the yellow petal, the purple petal, I've got the green behind it. And then this one would probably be my last choice because basically in this area, I've just got a couple different values, not a lot of texture. So I'm going to look at this just a little bit closer, and I'm going to choose this area as my center of interest. Reason being, this petal has a lot of texture. There's orange behind it, there's yellow, so I've got a real nice color scheme going here with the yellow and the violet. I've got some green area back there, but the texture is what caught my attention, so I want to make that my center of interest. So that'll be my circle, and then I'll come out, and everything around that area is going to be of lesser value, lesser detail, less texture. So that's going to be the way I would choose that one. Now here's another reference that I haven't really looked at in the respect of a center of interest. So let's look at this, see what pops out. Now you can always, don't forget, you are making your own design. You're not necessarily copying each photograph exactly the way they do it. So if I wanted this area to be my center of interest, which the way it sits right now, that is what I would choose because I'm getting part of the pot, a couple different levels of the pot. I'm getting some of this in here, some of the lines. I'm getting the lip that's going around all the way back there. I'm getting some of the lemon, some of the leaf. So that area would be the one I would choose now. But if I wanted to choose or make this design a little bit more, make a different center of interest, I could choose this one right here. I mean, you've got your stem, and you got some tendrils over here. You've got a lemon, you've got the green, you've got some of your background and whatever you wanted to do with your background. I think, yeah, it looks like it's a big leaf back there. So there's a lot of, you can choose whatever's going to work for what you're doing with your design. Now, if I wanted to, I could make this sit this way. And make this my center of interest, but you're just getting the pot at that point. A little bit of the background, but you're not getting any leaves, you're not getting any lemons. So that would not be my first choice. But if I wanted it off-centered like that, and I'm going to remove this so you can see it a little bit better. So the end of my design would be right here, and I'm just painting this area Then I would go with this as my center of interest up in that other corner. And you're going to get the leaves, you're going to get the lemons, you're going to get a darker shaded lemon, you're going to get a lighter shaded lemon, a couple different leaves in there. So that's what I would do if I chose to just paint half of that design, for example. Okay, so there's another one. Let's look at this one. These are pretty morning glories that I found. And I just love morning glories. I think they're one of the prettier flowers out there. They're fun to paint too. They got lots of values and different things going on. So there's the design. Now let's take a look with our little graph on top of it. I would actually I would start my painting over here. Well, maybe even a little bit more, and have this these petals go off the edge of the paper. And you could have this one in the background, but then I would make this my center of interest. Actually, I would move it out just even a little bit further, like that, and just paint this portion of the reference. But then what's happening, move this again so the glare doesn't get you. This is going to be our center of interest. You're going to have some of this center. You're going to have some light petals, some dark petals, some more magenta petals. This is more violet. So you're going to have different values, different textures, pleats up in this petal. So you'd have a lot of different things that you can make your center of interest even stand out better. That's something you want to think about too when you're choosing your designs. Do I want to paint the entire reference? Do I want to just have a blue background sky behind these? That would be an idea too, where you just paint from here to here and have the back be a blue sky. So you've got all these different options available to you, but you definitely need to choose your center of interest. Now this is kind of, I liked the pot on this design. So I'm going to put the graph on top of here. So what I would do if I decided to paint this entire design like this, I don't like to put the item right, it's pretty much smack right in the middle, and I don't like to do that. So let's move this over just a little bit like this. And then the pot is over this way further. It's not right smack in the center. In fact, you could even bring it over like that. You could bring it right up to the edge of this flower. And then my first choice for center of interest, ooh, let's see. I don't care for any of them. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at each intersection. And this gives me a little bit of texture here. It gives me a dark background, a little bit of grass. It's really not what I want to portray as what I consider to be my center of interest. So what we could do too is move this down. Well, you probably want to move it up. Let's move it up and get rid of that bowl down here on the pot. Our pot is off center. Now we've got some more choices that are even better for our center of interest. I would choose here. You're getting the pot, you're getting the lip of the pot, you're getting some of the highlight on that blue pot, you're getting this flower, you're getting some of the background. So you've got a lot of different texture, a lot of different items in that center of interest. This one would not be a bad choice. This would be my first choice. Or you could move it over even. But then now you're getting this lone flower all by itself. So yeah, the way that it was before was better. But here you're getting a little bit some texture in these. yellow flowers, the green background, not getting any of the vase in it. And I really would like to get the vase in the center of interest because I think that's the most uniqueness of this design. So to me, this would be the choice that I would make right there. You could even bring, if you wanted to, one of these flowers and bring it right here so that you've got some more of the yellow in there if you chose to. And it's going to give you some nice choices there with your center of interest. But what happens then is your viewer is going to start here because that's where the most detail is. That's where the brightness is going to be, the lightness of the pot, the lightness of that flower, and the most detail in the background here and in the pot itself down here. And don't forget, it's not one item. Your center of interest is always going to be parts of things, parts of the pot, parts of this flower, parts of that background. So you're never going to say, okay, this is my center of interest. Because what'll happen is that'll be like a somebody's taking a flashlight and shining it right on that flower, and it's not going to be correct. Your viewer is going to look right there and it's going to stop. That viewer is not going to have anywhere else to go because it's so bright, so light, so much detail. It's not going to go anywhere else. So you always want to have more than one item in that center of interest so they can go from the flower to the pot to the lightness to the background to this flower and then on and around. So you want to make that viewer go where you want them to go with their eyes. That's what a center of interest is going to do for you. So when you start doing your own designs like this, you need to take a look at a center of interest and make that decision before you say, okay, I'm going to just paint this as is. I'm not going to crop it or anything else because it looks good to me. But it really isn't going to look good to you once it's done painted. It's just not. So you want to be sure and take a look at that. Create one of these graphs. It's just a little slip sheet of plastic that you put one of these in, put it in a folder. And it's a notebook. And you could even do, if you wanted to do the circle, the target idea, because that's going to remind you, okay, everything from outside that circle is going to be less in value and less in value, and it's going to go all the way back to the background, which is the dark. So that would be a good way for you to look at why you need that center of interest, because you don't want everything to have the same detail. You don't want everything to be as bright and vibrant as the center of that interest. So I hope that helped you today. I want you to practice that. I know everybody's got reference material sitting around, and this was a good example for me too, because some of these I hadn't really looked at. I knew this one I was probably going to crop it in some fashion, because I did not want it sitting right in the center. So I knew that was going to happen, but I didn't know where my center of interest was going to lie until I put my graph on there. So it really helps. And then take notes. Take notes right on the back of your reference page or whatever's easiest for you. But then when you go to trace your design and put it on your watercolor paper, or you could, this goes for oils, it goes for acrylics, no matter what medium you're using to paint, you need a center of interest for all of your designs. So thank you again. Have a lovely day.